fast as possible. Just to answer your question from Dejan, who has not asked it yet, but yes, this event is taxable. So now we know that I come from the Merchants Revenue Authority, and I will try to just give some input on corporate communication, trying to see how all together we can put together those issues that concern all of us and try to find common solutions to that. So my first input will be on trying to find a good structure for taxpayer education. And because when I joined the MRA, we had a taxpayer services department. So service to taxpayer was considered as being marketing, as being communication, as being PR. And then we tried to change it to taxpayer education and communication department to have the right structure for communicating with taxpayers. And from then on, of course, my task was not easy because, as Benjamin Franklin said, we have two certainties in life, death and taxes. So not everyone, of course, likes to pay taxes, and we were talking about sales. Trying to sell taxes to people is quite difficult.
Easy!
Can I get your quote, please? So we've been trying to do just that. Trying to explain to people why we have to pay taxes. And of course, this is not an easy job. So we started in 2007, because in 2006 there was a merger of erstwhile revenue departments. All of them came together. Even the customs department came together. So all of them were under one roof, the Merchants Revenue Authority. And from then on, they had an integrated approach to communication. We started by trying to make our services electronic. So we had electronic services for filing of returns, electronic services for payments. And when we started, we had, in 2007, the electronic services, we had 0.5% of our taxpayers who adhered to it. Then we started a communication campaign around it, and now we have 92% of taxpayers who send their returns electronically, and 70% who pay their taxes electronically. So that was the result of a planified communication campaign. We were talking about the usage of Facebook, of social media, and trying to talk to taxpayers on Facebook is quite difficult. So we opted not to choose Facebook as a communication means, for obvious reasons. So, but we tried Twitter. And it's sad that in Mauritius, not a lot of people are on Twitter, not using Twitter as maybe we could have used it. But so we tried on Twitter. Then recently we opted for Facebook, for YouTube, and we had to talk to youngsters because we made an assessment and we realized that the best way to talk to people about taxes is try to start in the classroom. So we started talking to students from secondary schools, then we moved to tertiary institutions, and we organized an event for the University of Mauritius. How was it organized? So we thought, what was the best way to communicate with youngsters? Everyone takes selfie photos, selfie videos, we want to chat, we talk about everything. So why not use selfie as a tool? So we organized an MRA YouTube selfie video competition. What it's all about is we ask youngsters in 30 seconds to film themselves saying what they think are the characteristics of being a good citizen. The competition was open for 1 week and we received hundreds of videos posted on YouTube, and the youngsters were saying what they think of being a good citizen. If you did mention taxes, of course, because being a good taxpayer is not really part of being a good citizen for common Mauritians. We don't really connect with it. In some countries, when you go to some countries, if you are a tax evader, you will be considered a paria, as we say. So people will not even invite you for dinner because they know you're not paying your taxes. But here in Mauritius, will we do this? Do we take dinners with tax evaders? So it's a problem of culture. So trying to establish a tax culture in Mauritius, that's the objective. So we try to connect with youngsters, We organize this YouTube self-video competition. We organized, then it culminated in a workshop that we organized at the University of Mauritius, where we had a presentation on being a good citizen and how it connects with being a good taxpayer also. So those are the ways that we use to connect with our taxpayers. And I must say, it's a lot more difficult to talk with youngsters because they don't really feel concerned about taxes. But the idea was trying to connect at grassroots level. Then we discussed a lot about CEOs and whether they should be fired or we should keep them. But my input would be, maybe it's part of our job as corporate communicators to bring in a solution. What's the solution is trying to understand the characteristics of the different leaders. We don't have one leader, we have several types of leadership. If we take the charismatic leader, talking with a charismatic leader would require a different kind of presentation style, a different message, a different content. The charismatic leader is enthralled by new ideas. He likes new ideas, he likes risk. But to talk to him, you have to be balanced. Show the data, but also at the same time, bring in new ideas. So, talking to a charismatic leader would require a different approach. Talking to the follower type of leader, this is different. A follower type of leader would need to know what he has done before or what other leaders have done before and how they came to such conclusion before he can take a decision. So, a marketing guy talking to a charismatic leader and talking to a follower type of leader would need a different message content to get his ideas through. There is also the data leader. A data leader will only take decisions based on data. So if you want to convince such type of leaders, you have to bring in only data. Then there are the doers. The doer type of leaders. We don't really need data. They act by gut feeling. Their decisions are not always balanced. So presenting our case to different type of leaders would require different type of approach. So if we need to know whether CEOs should be fired or we can change our way of communicating with the CEOs, I think this can be done. If they themselves are not properly trained, so what kind of communicators will we have? Another thing also is, what we see often is companies often react frenetically, systematically to wrong information being published in the media. So deciding on when to communicate, when to reply to an article or any information which is probably wrong is something very difficult. Because when we reply, there's a way of doing it. It's a skill. Not everyone can reply to a news article as easy as it seems. So, but there's a tendency to always reply. Of course, the human being, for the sake of argumentation, will always reply when he feels hurt. But it's not about who is right or who is wrong. It's about perception. Perception is everything. So one thing that, at least at time we do, is impact assessment. It's easy to know the impact of a wrong information being published. Nowadays, everything that is being published is online. And everything that's online attracts comments. And then is shared through Facebook or social media. And it's easy for us to try to track down those comments and know if it makes a buzz or not. If a wrong information does not make a buzz, does not really necessitate a reply, then why on earth would we reply to that? But of course, there's the tendency for certain companies also to try to be silent on everything. So this is the other extreme. One is trying to know when to communicate, and the other one is a silent company. And both ways, we should try to find better solutions for that. Two more items. Then, on crisis management, it would seem that we people don't have a crisis communication plan. is in every organization there should be a crisis communication plan and not wait for it to happen and then try to find any company around to try to help us out. So, of course, our problem is common. So, crisis communication plan can be devised by this community. So every communicator should be maybe meet and try to find a common paper on crisis communication so that we can share this document and try to have a common way of dealing with such kind of situations. Also about protocol. This is an issue very relevant to corporate communicators. How do you manage protocols inside your organization, inside your company? Is there any handbook of protocols around that we can just handily try and pick on the shelf and use it? At least each company may devise its own corporate protocol handbook that can be used by anyone organizing any type of event for the organization. And then monitoring, and last thing about monitoring. It's very tough for us sometimes to monitor every time that the name of the organization is mentioned on the internet. Of course, I use Google Alert for several years, but it's not very efficient. Maybe I will put it to help to give us a solution for that, because this is a definite problem that we have trying to monitor on a day-to-day basis. Every time that the name of our organization is mentioned on internet, everywhere, and then we will of course decide. So that's it. My humble input to corporate communication, and maybe we after this panel we can discuss about other issues that we found common and how to deal with it. Thank you.